Hi, everybody. I'm here with Claudine, a beautiful supernatural genius that I met in the Dr. Joe community, which is a huge community that attracts a lot of beautiful people. We became friends when we started releasing on an abundance course, and we did it every morning at 7 a.m. And it was like our highlight of the day. And we got to know each other really well. And then we also organized a big trip to Nice and also a little retreat to a part in a little beautiful town in Holland. So I can only say that Claudine, I've seen her really like take all the teachings and really work with them, and seen you manifest amazing things. You know, you would think of something and it would happen. You would manifest clients, you would manifest so many things. It was so exciting to see your journey. So when I had a download that I had to do money constellations, Claudine was, of course, really curious about it. And you were in quite a few of them, representing different aspects of somebody's abundance and prosperity consciousness, including money. So what would you say was your experience of actually doing a money constellation in contrast maybe with just other work that is more mental or more maybe more intellectual?
Yeah, the difference is that in a money constellation, we work with the field and we go into our heart and we feel what is happening. And so it's more about feeling the environment, feeling what is happening in that moment, and then voicing that, which means that you are tapping into the quantum field, and it's not about your intellect. And that is all the difference. And then when the play starts, nobody knows what is the next thing that will happen. No. You just don't know. So and that is where your genius comes in, because you have these great downloads in certain times within the constellation where you say, let's invite that person, or what does that element has to say, or let's now change places, and then you create a new dynamism in it, and that helps then a lot. So there's a lot of your genius in it. But the thing is that by doing the constellations, I started more and more, not from the intellect, but really like a real big experience and heartfelt feeling that I can surrender, trust, that the field has my back, that when I live according to my purpose and mission, everything is presented on a silver plate every day, as long as you do it in love consciousness. So that was also so interesting, because I used to come much more from my brain, from my intellect, from everything I had learned, my experience and knowledge. And that's why I said also in my constellation, because that was really the tipping point where things also shifted for me in my constellation, like I would conquer my clients. Oh, I needed to conquer the market. And I remember you being my money, and you got sick when I was saying it. You got nausea when I was saying
I was chosen as the money for Claudine, and she didn't know that I was her money, but I was just tuning into her money. And I think I didn't even know I was your money because of the way we work with pieces of paper. But I was feeling really good and very good and really loving. And I knew that she loved me, that she had a relationship with me, which is what I also see in Claudine's life. But then at one point she said, I would love to change my relationship with, earning money. And because I still have this program or this mental concept that I need to conquer the market. And at that moment, as your money, I felt sick. And the person representing love and prosperity consciousness said, that doesn't feel right to me. So in terms of your evolution of consciousness and how to create, coming from survival strategies or from win-win, oneness and real an abundant theorem of the world, it felt that your money and love and prosperity consciousness didn't gel with that old strategy. And so that was the work we had to do, but it was very enlightening. And there was so much love in your constellation. I mean, all of us felt the love flowing. It was, yeah, I can still think about it and feel the love in your heart, and how much you didn't separate money as just an object. You saw it as almost like a spiritual life force that wants to flow through you, wants to be part of the flow, instead of stopping the flow because you have some hang-up stories about what your value is and what you have to offer. For you, that is not the issue. It was more about, how do I expand in such a way that I don't feel I have to conquer in a masculine way? It was very beautiful.
Yes, yes. And also that part where we placed elements, I remember, we placed them somehow in space, and then we said, oh, where is the money now? And the money was in my heart. So that was also so beautiful. Where can money be? Well, it can be in your heart. And then it's just pure abundance consciousness. And it really gave me a lot of confidence, a lot of peace, and a way to surrender every day to the adventure of the day and seeing what will happen. And
your business and serving life with your consciousness, your skills, your intuition, and your passion, which is really what you're living.
Yes, because last year before we met, and whilst I was doing also all the Dr. Joe work, I struggled. But Dr. Joe always says that you start with his work, and then there's a desert that comes in, or you have to let go of stuff. So I had to let go of some important stuff in my life, but that was also part of my business that didn't it didn't go anymore as it was supposed to. So I was near failure. And okay, the bank had still confidence in me and still loaned me some money. And then by doing release technique, by really getting into the shadow work and looking at my consciousness and what was happening, everything opened. Yeah. Everything opened. So it's so beautiful to see how it went from 0 to 10. How can I say? It's that has happened. And I'm sure it's the universe working with us, through us. And when you open to your truth and you let others help you, and you help others, then only gifts come in. Although it can be tough at times, of course, looking at your own shit, of course, it can be tough.
Yeah. And we'll talk another time about the releasing, because I have some ideas about it, of how I can introduce it to the world, combining it with fast EFT and the mini constellations, which is what I did all the time. But you've also
to say something still about the constellation is that it is pure magic, because you get raw truth about the subject and the intention that you are working on. You get raw truth about the process that you are going through. And that is breathtakingly beautiful. And that is thanks to you and your way of bringing it to the world.
But there, you were my money in my money constellation. It was funny, right? And we have the reverse role.
Yes.
And you've seen that not all money constellations were flowing.
No, not at all.
No, your money constellation was flowing because you worked on your money consciousness, even with the releasing. That was how, and we did it like every day for almost 2 hours, and you started really taking it seriously. And when you saw all the demonstrations or manifestations happening, you knew that you had shifted something. But when we did the money constellations, which is less being in your head and even more in your intuition, you were in money constellations of other people, including mine, where you were money, or you were representing other elements that had to come in or that weren't received. And you could feel being money not being included, that the person, for instance, me, I loved money, but I hadn't included it in my life. I put it on the shelf, maybe for other activities. And I wasn't willing to include it in my healing work. So, and you felt it and you wanted to come in and you expressed that you really were there for me. And it reminded me of my first money constellation, where I was the money of a person that is now very successful. And he completely ignored me. And I had so much love to give. I had so much that I had to give to him, but he was too busy with his family trauma. And so, yeah, so what can people gain? You know, as you said, they get the raw fruit. Would you say it is almost like hacking your money blocks, is really knowing what's going on, why you're not open to receiving money?
Yes, it's really getting a clear picture of what is blocking you, where you are flowing, and what is the process that you need to proceed through in order to de-block where you're at. So you also see the process, you see what needs to happen. And by the end of the constellation, it has already happened. You can feel that something has switched in your body and in your mind. And then, of course, it's important to keep that version going also, the next days, to keep being in that presence of that new situation. So you do the work whilst you are doing the constellation. I'm convinced of that. And because there's so many different elements that come together that show you the way, that show you your blockages. It's, as I said, it's pure magic and it's raw truth that comes out. And that's why it is beautiful.
Yeah. The thing is what I've been doing, and I realize what I'm doing, and I will explain that in a webinar, is that when I was studying constellations, very often during my trainings, I felt more traumatized during a weekend training, more entangled with other people's family trauma, probably mirroring my own, that I thought, wow, do I really want to work in this way? And I felt that something was missing. So the first download that came to me when, you know, things were so stuck when I was doing constellations, and you literally, when you go to constellation workshops, you could be 2 hours in a constellation that moves so slowly, and the ancestors are not ready, and, you know, whatever, you know, your husband isn't ready or your child isn't ready, and there you are as a client stuck with, you know, stuck because the system isn't moving. And what I felt I had to do was work on the individual, but including their future self. So that was my first download. And every time the future self came in, I felt this huge surge of downloads for the client, and the future self would show the way. And so it was very interesting that without even knowing Dr. Joe at that time, because Dr. Joe came in my life much later, you know, I was already working with the future self, and, you know, and I found out in NLP that a future self stuff, you know, they can progress you forward in your life and things like that. So I was fascinated by that. And then later on, I realized, hey, there are something missing, and this is why constellation work is so heavy. And we're working with almost the family consciousness, and the family consciousness doesn't have the solutions. So I will have to introduce the solutions as the facilitator. And if I don't do it, we will be stuck in a constellation. And why would I want to earn money with that? I don't even.
But that is your genius. Your way of bringing it is completely new, a new way, because you're not in the past. You're not going in the past all the time. You bring elements of solution, and that is, it is powerful.
Yeah, and this is also why I feel, and you've been in continuous weekly constellations to evolve. This is why I feel one constellation is what lots of some people recommend. And then they say, don't do a constellation for a month. But the way I work, because we're looking forward, we're looking at integration with new parts of consciousness. This is why it's important to show up on a weekly basis, to be in a constellation and to represent other elements in somebody else's constellation. I was talking to somebody yesterday and I said, it's very possible that in your constellation, it's quite confronting and challenging. that you fall back into the family norm of feeling overwhelmed or feeling not powerful enough or feeling that you're broke. But if you then continue the work and you show up in somebody else's constellation as their money or their love and prosperity consciousness, it is completely possible that you then start channeling the energy that you couldn't find being who you are in your family system, because suddenly you have the freedom. You have the freedom and the authority to completely be infinite. And so, yeah, would you say that is how you saw things progress? Because your constellation could be wonderful and your constellation was completely wonderful. But what I've seen for other people is that they evolve in all these weekly meetings into more and more understanding of how these new elements have to be integrated by us in our new way of working, in our new way of relating to money and business, and our self-worth and the value that we give in our businesses.
Yeah, so what is so beautiful in what you do is that everybody takes a letter out of your hands, like your little papers, and these are roles, but nobody knows which roles they are playing. So you just go into the field and you just feel towards the person who is the issue holder. You feel what is happening in the field. And you don't know what your element is, but you also have an intention. Everybody can write down their own intention. So you have a role, you have an element, and you have your intention. And that's why the entanglement is beautiful, because in somebody else's constellation, you are helping them, but you are helping yourself also. The elements are helping you also in your life once again to proceed, or with your intention. You see deeper in yourself, you're growing, you see how you help the other person. But yeah, it is, the entanglement is enormous. And that's why, it's not a one-off. You shouldn't consider it a one-off. You should consider it a series of constellations that you come to in order to learn about your money consciousness and who you are and what wants to work through you and what is happening now, because it's also always in the moment. Huh?
Yeah. So I would say I am inspired to do a series on the book, The Science of Getting Rich. And I'm so excited about it because that really came as a fun download. And I know that sometimes when we download the consciousness of a book and we really engage with the consciousness of a book, these elements start to become alive in our world. And so that is something I really look forward to.
Wow.
And, yeah, I mean, The Science of Getting Rich, I mean, every chapter is like such a gem, and every chapter shows us where we're blocked. So for instance, chapter 1 is basically, it's called The Right to Be Rich. The right to be rich. If you would constellate your right to be rich, I mean, that would be, it would be volumes of books, right? About the right to be rich.
Only about the right to be rich. Yes. Yeah.
That could be like a 12-month series.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to do that as a group and to see how the group starts to grow with all the infinite wisdom about what money really stands for, because I really do feel that money is so entangled with suffering, hard work, overwhelm, burnouts. You're a burnout expert. Money is so entangled with burnout and doing things that are about efforting and coming from a, I have to, otherwise I will not have, I cannot pay for this and this. Yes. So instead of working with that, which is, we already have that in our collective, we work with the love and blessings that money can represent, and how work can be love in action, you know?
Sure.
That we have to redefine work. We have to redefine our relationship with livelihood, and even the things that have hurt us, how can we turn it into gold, right? And so, yeah, I'm very inspired by it. How can people work with you, Claudine? Because I know that you have your own healing practice. You are an eternal student, just like me. Would you like to share a little bit about your websites?
Oh, yes, I would love to. So I work as a stress and burnout expert and also a sleep expert for people who suffer from insomnia. So I help people every day who struggle with the fight flight, and it gives us exhaustion. And I was there also many years. So yeah, I know all about it. And I also have digital programs where we work on distance together. They are very successful. I have 90% of success ratio of people really resolving their insomnia after 6 weeks of therapy. So
Wow.
yes, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist for insomnia. So yeah, I mean, I work in 4 languages. So yeah,
Which are they?
I
Dutch,
have stuff to
French,
do.
Dutch,
Yes.
French, Vlaams?
No, Dutch is Vlaams.
French, English.
French,
What is the fourth
English,
one? Italian?
Italian.
Oh my God, I didn't know you speak Italian. Yeah, I had an idea that you spoke Italian. Oh my God.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I know
Amazing.
I work in the corporate world in well-being. I give a lot of courses that regarding resilience and stress management, and it's really my mission in the world to help people see their patterns, break their patterns, and become wealthier, happier with themselves, and break through all that hard stuff that keeps us from being happy. So yeah, I'm living my mission. I'm on my path every day, and I'm very happy with that.
So what would be the best website to find you?
So there is Inner Compass, as you say it in English, .be, or there is sleepcompass.online. So they're both compasses. One is inside, inner, and the other one is sleep. .online, where you find all the information on what I do and how I help people. And if stress is bothering you, then please let me help you. We can solve it together.
Yeah. And I know that you still have a lot up on your sleeve. And if you're ready to launch these new services, I would love to help organize something to promote you in the world.
Yes. In the coming months, there's something new wants to be born.
Yes. Thank you, Claudine, for this testimonial. Lots of love.
Love you, sister. See you soon.